Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Tina. And today we are talking about the October thriller, mystery, suspense, and horror novels that are coming out. The new releases, I have a couple physical copies. I have a bunch that I have found online. And maybe I'm just greedy, but I feel like October doesn't have as many exciting new releases as I want it to have. There are a lot on this list, and there are some that I am really excited about, but I'm like, it's spooky season. I want horror. And I feel like I don't have a ton of those in this video. I think there were a lot of September releases that were horror. But at any rate, we are going to get right into it. So first we'll start with October 7th, the first Tuesday in October. And we will start with one of the books that I own that I just got in the mail from Atria. So thanks to the publisher for sending. This one is Keep This For Me by Jennifer Fawcett. It was not on my radar at all. I've never read this person, but I really like the sound of it. It is about this woman who is investigating a serial killer's connection to her mother's disappearance. It is supposedly for fans of I Have Some Questions For You by Rebecca Mackay and Notes on an Execution by Dania Kakufka, of which I liked both of those novels. So if this one can be in that same realm, I am excited. And it's also set in 1993, at least for a part of it. And that is when the young couple goes out to a party, their car breaks down, and they are picked up by a truck driver who attacks the man and abducts the woman, and she is never seen again. And that woman was Fiona Green's mother, who is our main character in this novel. And then this man is caught, and there is a mass grave of bodies discovered in the backyard, but Fiona's mom is not there. It's now 30 years later. The killer is on his deathbed, and he is insisting that he didn't kill her. So Fiona finds herself back in the town where her mother disappeared and fighting demons of her own. Okay, you thought that's enough. No, history is now repeating itself. Another woman, there's another roadside breakdown and another disappearance. Only this time, the prime suspect is Jason, Eddie's son. So the killer's son is suspected at being a copycat killer, and the woman whose mother was taken is trying to catch him. Next up, you have Crafting for Sinners by Jenny Kiefer, and this one sounds great. It is about a queer woman who must fight her way out of a big box craft store run by a diabolical religious cult. So this one is survival horror. I also love the cover of this one. It's about Ruth. She is trapped. She's stuck in her small religious hometown in Kentucky and stuck at this job, stuck in the closet and stuck living paycheck to paycheck. And after her manager finds out that she lives with her girlfriend, she gets fired from this craft store that is owned by the church in town. And in an act of revenge, Ruth attempts to shoplift some yarn, but is caught red-handed by a cashier. And instead of calling the police, the employees lock her in the store and attack her. Ruth gets backed into a corner and has to do some pretty extreme things. And she starts to realize she is facing much bigger things than a simple shoplifting charge. She is now fighting for her life. And these religious cult hides terrible secrets that not only threaten her, but the entire town. Yes, that sounds excellent. Next is a new one from Chevy Stevens. It's The Hitchhiker, and this is a road trip story set in the summer of 1976. You have Alice and Tom that set out on the remote Canadian highway in their new RV. They're hoping to heal their broken hearts after a devastating tragedy. They've planned this trip perfectly down to every detail, and then they meet two young hitchhikers down on their luck, but then they offer these folks a ride, but Simon and Jenny are not what they seem. They have left a trail of blood, destruction, and madness behind them. Now, Alice and Tom are trapped. They are prisoners in a deadly game with nowhere to turn. As the tension builds, the question becomes, in whose heart does evil truly lie? And what secrets are Jenny and Simon hiding? And who will live another day? Sounds intense. I love the sound of this one. It's The Salvage by Anbara Salam. And this one is a gothic literary thriller for fans of Our Lives Under the Sea, which I am. And it is set in 1962. You're following Marta, who is a trailblazing marine archaeologist. And she's been called to Cairnroch, a small island off the east coast of Scotland. I'm sure I said that terribly. There's a Victorian shipwreck, though, that is being dragged from Arctic waters, so they call her in. And Marta dives down into the ship and becomes convinced that she has seen a dark figure lurking amid the wreckage. And then the Cuban Missile Crisis and the deep chill of record-breaking winter keeps Marta stranded on Cairnroch, and she forms a relationship with Elsie, a local woman working in the island's only hotel. When the ship's artifacts inexplicably disappear, Marta and Elsie have to braze the freezing conditions to search for the missing objects before anyone else catches on, and something eerie is following them at every step. And Marta has to confront if the haunting is a figment of her imagination, the repercussions from a terrible mistake from her past, or if something more sinister is at play that will trap her and everyone on the island. This sounds excellent. I can't wait to read it. This one just looks gross. I mean, honestly, this is about Josie, who is at rock bottom. She's burned out, returning to her isolated hometown on the edge of the Forest of Dean. But tall, dense trees are not the only thing casting shadows across her skin. Josie's hopes of a fresh start are horribly derailed when she stumbles across a dead woman's decaying ant-infested body in the woods. This discovery naturally sends her in a downward spiral, forcing her to face uncomfortable truths about the victim and her own past, all while battling the swarming black ants that seem to have burrowed in her mind. Disgusting. Next, you've got If the Dead Belong Here, and it's when a young girl goes missing, the ghosts of the past collide with her family's secrets in a mesmerizing Native American Southern Gothic. So this one's about 6-year-old Laurel Taylor, who vanishes without a trace, and naturally her family is left shattered, struggling to navigate the darkness and grief and unanswered questions. And as their search turns to despair, the missing girl's older sister Nadine begins experiencing nightmares that blur the line between dream and reality. And she becomes convinced that Laurel's disappearance could be connected to other family tragedies. She is guided by her elders and sets out to discover whether laying the ghost to rest is the key to finding her sister and healing her fractured family. This one is a literary debut, and I think it sounds really good. It's steeped in Indigenous folklore and draws from the author's own family history. Next is a new one from one of my favorite authors, Tiffany D. Jackson. This is called The Scammer, and it is a ripped from the headlines thriller that follows a freshman girl whose college life is turned upside down when her roommate's ex-convict brother moves into their dorm and starts controlling their every move. So your main character is Jordan, and she is ready to kill it in pre-law at their prestigious university. It's an HBCU in Washington, D.C. And then her new roommate's brother is released from prison. And the last thing she expects is to find this man just like hanging out in their dorm room. Could you imagine? But he does need a place to stay. And how could she say no to one of her new friends? So she gets to know Devante, who is older, as charming as he is, intelligent, and pushes every student he meets to make better choices about their young lives. So he's kind of mentoring them. But Jordan senses something sinister beneath his friendly advice and growing group of followers. And when one of Jordan's other roommates goes missing, she must enlist the help of the university's lone white student to uncover the mystery or become trapped at the center of a web of lies more tangled than she can imagine. I will be reading this, yes. You've got a new Frida McFadden. This one is called The Intruder, and it's about Casey, who has a cabin in the wilderness, and it's not built for hurricanes. Her roof shakes, the lights flicker, and the tree outside her front door sways ominously in the wind. But she is a lot more worried about the girl she discovers lurking outside her kitchen window. She's young, alone, and covered in blood, and the girl won't say where she came from or loosen her grip on her knife in her right hand. And when Casey makes a disturbing discovery in the middle of the night, things take a turn for the worse. The girl has a secret, one she'll kill to keep. And if Casey gets too close to the truth, she may not live to see the morning. Okay. October 21st, we've got King Sorrow from Joe Hill. And this is a chilling tale of modern world dangers, dark academia, and the unexpected consequences of revenge as 6 friends dabble in the occult and are tragically and horrifyingly successful because what they do is call forth this evil entity that demands a regular human sacrifice. I hate when that happens. You know what I mean? Next up is October 14th, and you've got The Unveiling by Quan Berry. And this one sounds really good. I've never read this author before. This one's a literary horror novel set in Antarctica. It explores abandonment, guilt, and survival in the shadow of America's racial legacy. You have Stryker, who isn't entirely sure this luxury Antarctic cruise. She is a Black film scout, and her mission is to photograph potential locations for big budget movies. And this one specifically is about Ernest Shackleton, who had this doomed expedition. And along the way, she finds private, if cautious, amusement in the behavior of both the native wildlife and the group of wealthy, mostly white tourists who have chosen to spend Christmas on the Weddell Sea. But when a kayaking excursion goes horribly wrong, Stryker and a group of survivors become stranded on a remote island along the Antarctic Peninsula. Anyway, it's Antarctic, it's horror, I'm reading it. Next up is Boomtown, and this is about Charm Wilburn, a new daytime dancer who is missing from her shift at Boomtown, which is a notorious gentleman's club in Atlanta. So this one is compared to Gone Girl, and it is Nick Stone's adult thriller about two missing erotic dancers from Atlanta's most notorious gentleman's club and the women committed to finding them. Charm Wilburn is the new daytime dancer who goes missing from her shift, and former headliner Lyric suspects that it's more than just a no-call, no-show. And as Lyric's former headline partner and lover, Lucky, also vanished under similar circumstances, Lyric decides that she's going to find them both and delves deeper into both of their disappearances. And she, while doing that, uncovers a web of deceit, privilege, and power, and the line between friend and foe blurs, forcing Lyric to confront the question, is finding these women worth the threat on her own life? We've got Happy People Don't Live Here by Amber Sparks, and this one is a darkly funny gothic tale about a reclusive mother and her daughter who move into a haunted building brimming with eccentrics and secrets. Sounds like a mother-daughter are arriving at Pine Lake Apartments, a former sanatorium occupied by an ensemble of peculiar neighbors and a smattering of ghosts. And among them is the mermaid lady who performs in a nightclub fish tank, the building's handy person who moonlights as a medium, and an awkwardly charming professor of medieval studies. Fern is alone, and Fern is acquainted with the undead who pass like troubled clouds through the apartments. And then one day Fern finds a dead body in the dumpster. She becomes intent on solving the mystery of this discarded corpse and eagerly puts her encyclopedic knowledge of detective novels to good use while dodging warnings from her increasingly paranoid mother. Okay, I am curious about this one. It's Gone Before Goodbye by Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben. This one's a suspense novel about a woman trapped in a deadly conspiracy, and Maggie McCabe is teetering on the brink. She is a highly skilled and renowned Army combat surgeon, and she has always lived life at the edge, where she could make the most impact, and it was all going to plan until it wasn't, because she is now upside down after a devastating series of tragedies lead to her medical license being revoked. She has lost her purpose, but not her medical skills. And she's now at her lowest point and gets thrown at a lifeline by a former colleague who is an elite plastic surgeon. And he has anonymous clientele that demand the best care money can buy, as well as absolute discretion. So she takes this job and gets sent halfway across the globe, sequestered in the lap of luxury and cutting edge technology, because this man, that is one of the world's most mysterious men, requires unconventional medical assistance. She agrees and enters his realm of unspeakable opulence and fulfills her end of the agreement, but then the patient suddenly disappears under her care and she must become a fugitive herself. I've read a few Harlan Coben books and I feel like I should dislike them, but they are honestly very cinematic and page turners. They're like straight up plot forward page turners. And I think the plot of this one sounds really good. I've also got another one from John Grisham. It's The Widow. I like John Grisham. I've been reading him for ages. This one is his first legal thriller. So it's not a traditional courtroom novel. I guess it's a whodunit. I guess it's his first one. And this one is about Simon Latch, who is a lawyer in rural Virginia, and his marriage is slowly falling apart. Then into his office walks Eleanor Barnett, an elderly widow in need of a new will. Apparently her husband left her a small fortune and no one knows about it. And so he now hooks the richest client of his career and works quietly to keep her wealth under the radar. But soon her story begins to crack. When she is hospitalized after a car accident, the lawyer starts to realize that nothing is as it seems, and he finds himself on trial for a crime he swears he didn't commit. He's on trial for murder, but he's innocent. How's he going to get out of it? He knows he didn't do it. So to save himself, he must find the real killer. Yes. Next is Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake. This one is about The House, an exclusive sorority set on campus, and all of its alumni are beautiful, high-achieving, and universally respected women. After a freshman year she would rather forget, sophomore Nina Kaur knows being one of the chosen few accepted into the house is her first step toward a successful and bright future. Once she's taken into their fold, the house will surely ease her fears of failure from those who see a young woman on her own as easy prey. Meanwhile, Adjunct professor Dr. Hartley is struggling to return to work after accepting a demotion to support her new partner's position at a cutthroat university. So she's not having a good time of it, and then gets invited to be the house's academic liaison. She enviously drinks in the way the alumni seem to have it all, and so she takes this job. So these two outsiders get drawn deeper and deeper into the arcane rituals of sisterhood, and they learn that living well comes with a bloody cost. And when they are finally invited to the table, they will have to decide just how much they can stomach in the name of solidarity and power. Is this a cannibal novel? Let me know. The Deadly Book Club sounds wild. It is a virtual book club that listens in horror when the screen freezes and one of their members is murdered on camera. And 5 of the most prominent book influencers in the US make up an exclusive virtual book club that's the envy of the online book world. Once a month, they get on a video call to sip cocktails, chat about social media, and discuss their monthly book club pick. And then again, one meeting, their screens freeze, and one of them gets brutally attacked, and then the call drops. And then they're texting each other, trying to figure out who was murdered and why. Of course, the investigation unearths secrets each of them needs to stay buried, and the jealousies, the hidden resentments, and trouble in their personal lives begins to surface. It sounds like that one movie. I'll insert it here. I don't remember what it's called, but that's what it sounds like, but in book form. Next is new John Fram. It's The Midnight Knock, and this is a locked room mystery set in the frigid West Texas desert where weary travelers converge at a lonely roadside motel nestled at the foot of a massive mountain. Ethan and Hunter have left behind a corpse, a fire, and a horrific act of violence. Kyla and Fernanda are fleeing for the border, and Stanley and his granddaughter are returning from Mexico with a mysterious man in hot pursuit. All of them are on the run from something, and all of them are hiding something, and somehow they're all connected to the motel's other guest, an enigmatic woman named Sarah Powers. And within hours, Sarah is dead, and the strange twins who run the break-in motel inform the surviving guests that her murder demands justice, and the guests are given an ultimatum: uncover the killer by midnight or die when the protective lights around the motel go out. Because something very old and very dangerous lurks in this corner of the desert, and it's hungry. I like John Fram a lot. His books go wild, and I'm curious to see how he's going to take this locked room mystery. Finally, on October 28th, you have The Bone Thief by Vanessa Lilly, and this is about a Native teenager that disappears from her small town. In the hours before dawn at a local summer camp, the Bureau of Indian Affairs archaeologist Sid Walker received an alarming call. Newly discovered skeletal remains have been stolen. Not only have the bones gone missing, but a Native teen girl has disappeared near the camp, and law enforcement dismisses her family's fears. Sid is investigating both crimes and gets drawn into the world of privileged campers and their wealthy parents, as most of them are members of the Founders Society, an exclusive club whose members trace their lineage to the first colonists and claim ancestral rights to the land. And so the deeper that Sid digs, the more she realizes these aren't isolated instances, and there's a pattern of disappearance that spans generations. Well, that is it. I'm sure there are more books that are coming out in October that I'm just forgetting about. I'm going to publish this and be mad that I forgot to include them. I've listed all the books in the description box below, so leave me a comment and let me know which ones are topping your TBR for October. But thank you as always for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.